We have 2 live games to you on Clare FM this weekend, as I have mentioned. Both of them involve Clare on National League duty. With us to look ahead to those games and the rest of the weekend sporting action is our sports editor, Derrick Lynch. Derrick, good morning to you.
Morning, Alan.
We'll start with Clare's 4th game in Division 1B of the National Hurling League, and at the risk of being a hostage to fortune, I think it's pretty safe to say Clare on the way back to Division 1A. Certainly if the things have been they've been trucking along nicely. They've met some stiff challenges. Dublin put it up to them across the road from us, but they ultimately prevailed, racked up a big score against a downside who we thought were going to challenge them a bit more than they did. Now Kildare coming off the back of a win over Antrim, and they will have home advantage for this game on Saturday evening in Newbridge. But how are Brian Lohan's side set to make it 4 from 4 and maintain their 100% record?
Yeah, I suppose if you asked me that question in probably 7 hours time, I'd be in a better position to answer it, because we'll wait till the team news comes out. And in fairness to Brian, he had been of the Gerlochnan school of team naming, in that you wouldn't take much notice of it until you saw the team behind the band. But they've been good enough with it this year. What's named is close enough to what starts. So I think that'll be an interesting one for them. They've a couple of guys making their way back from injury. Had a brief word with Conleth just as we were walking off the pitch the last day, and he was just delighted to be back on the field and injury free for the first time in a while. So probably a bit more game time for him. He did quite well at centre back when he came in. I would imagine they want to get a bit more time into the legs of John Conleth. What do you do with your more established players then? Does Tony Kelly need a run around what is a very, very heavy pitch in Newbridge? Now, I've been talking to a couple of people up there the last few days, and they've been telling me that the pitch is in a bit of bother. So hopefully the rain that has swept over the country today has swept onwards to our British brethren and will stay there for a while.
Do you think there's a risk of this one being postponed?
I would be keeping an eye on it. Be keeping an eye on it. I don't think there's any major fear, but it certainly is going to be slush puppy stuff on the ground by the pictures we've seen of it. So I suppose, will that come into management's minds is what I'm wondering, because there is now the countdown to championship, whether we like to think about it or not, that's on, because you have these back-to-back games against Carlow and Kildare, then you have the home game against Wexford, and all going well, 2 weeks on to the final, and then, as I keep saying, 2 weeks on to the championship. So you can nearly smell it now at this stage. David Hoey cutting the grass over the road here ahead of that Waterford game, so that'll come into their minds. Now, all things being equal, form, experience, talent available, all that kind of stuff, it should be a Clare win. But let's give Kildare credit. That performance against Antrim was a huge one for them. It can't be overestimated. Like a team coming up into the Leinster Championship this year after winning the Joe McDonagh last year, they'll be getting ready, and taking down Antrim in the manner they did and getting the scores that they did was brilliant. So I think Clare will be well forearmed going up the road, that they will need an attitude like we saw against Down, in that ruthless. You can't ease your way into this game. You have to try and bury them early, because if you leave a team like Kildare in it with the home crowd, with the bit of, and Brian Dowling brings some bounce and bite to them, like look what he did on the hurling field, what he's doing as a manager at club and county level. So they have a lot going for them. They'll see this as a free shot. The Clare football supporters are very well versed in travelling to Newbridge. The hurling support not so much, so it's a new experience in that sense, and Kildare will want to have a right cut off Clare. And you know what? These Saturday evening fixtures often have a different feel. You talk about it in the Premier League sense, like the lunchtime kickoff versus the 3 o'clock. There is a different dynamic when it's in the evening, whatever it is, particularly when it's on the road. So I think Clare would be well armed, but should be coming away with the points.
Okay, you can hear that game live on Clare FM, and as Derrick mentioned, Clare football supporters more used to going to places like Newbridge, but they won't have to go anywhere on Sunday except to Zimmer, Biomet, Páirc, Chíosóg, where Laois will be the visitors. 2 o'clock throw in for that one on Sunday, and Clare looking to build on their first win at the third time of asking up in Enniskillen against Fermanagh. Late goals, seeing them Paul Madden's side get their first points on the board. Laois will be a different prospect though from Fermanagh, I would imagine, Derrick, and hopefully home advantage will play a part here.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, can I have a little bit of a grandstanding moment here? For we spend a lot of time talking about the coverage Clare football gets, the support Clare football gets, the backing Clare football gets. Lads, would you cop on and get to the Páirc on Sunday? In the story, this is a team coming down after a brilliant performance against Fermanagh, a brilliant result. They're without a couple of key players. Darragh Bohannon and Cillian Irwine will be out with injury, unfortunately. That's the nature of the league. It's so back to back that any little soft tissue injury is going to cause you. They need the support. I thought thought it was, and I wasn't there myself, we were in Cushendall, the lads were doing the commentary of the Westmeath game, Paul Madden's first game at home, and if there was 600-700 Clare football supporters in Cusack Park, that's about all there was. That's not good enough. So if we're serious about elevating Clare football to the next level of getting behind Paul and the lads and really pushing on here, they have to get the support on Sunday, and there's no excuse not to. Okay, we the hurling's on Saturday evening, that'll be gone out of the way. Just get into the park and support them, because this is a team going places. You look at that performance last Sunday off the back of what had been a very disappointing one the previous week. It was really, really good. So there is something building here. We've I sat down with Paul Madden a week after he was put in as the Clare football manager, and the vibe and the enthusiasm and the passion he had for that job, and that was replicated in fairness by any Clare football people we spoke to. So now is the time to vote with your feet and your hindquarters. Get your legs to the park, get your hindquarters onto a seat, and shout on the lads on Sunday. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. In terms of the actual game on the field with Laois, they've had mixed results, but remember, Clare put on a grandstand finish last year above in Portlaoise on a very, very cold, wet, wintry evening to beat them with a really good second half comeback, led primarily, I have to say, by a man that won't be there on Sunday in Emmett McMahon. So they're coming down with a little bit of a bit between their teeth as well to try and maybe answer that a small bit, and this is huge for Clare. I think win on Sunday and you're not looking over your shoulder anymore. Now it's that Division 3 is really starting to pack up. We said here the Monday after the Down game, if Down could go and win all the rest of their matches, it would suit Clare to a T. Now that was probably off the back of us beating Westmeath, but the way results have been going, I wouldn't be one bit surprised if that three-way tie materialises for the second spot. So that's still alive, which it just makes the game so vital now on Sunday.
Okay, hopefully they can do so. Let's move on to the Camogies. Clare taking on Wexford and Clareabbey. That's also like the hurlers on Saturday, although a 2:00 throw in for this Division 1B league game. Can Clare stake that early claim for promotion?
Yeah, I think they can. I think there was a lot to like about the, just reading some of the reports and listening back to some of the people that were at the game in Abbottstown. I think there was a lot to like about it from a Clare perspective. It's a very strong Clare team on paper when you look at it. I mean, that's some half back line of Jennifer Daly, Abby Walsh and Claire Hare. Like that would anchor any defence, whether it is 1A or 1B. Good midfield and strong players up front, and you're still talking about Anya Loughlin and Ciara Grogan and those on the bench as well to come into it. So it's very strong. I think the return of Derrick Murphy in goal has been a real positive. Former Munster Player of the Year, she's class so she's going to be a real throw in for them as well this season. And I think if you can get the result now against Wexford, you'd be saying, no more than the hurlers, you're kind of very close to that 1B final. I suppose the only difference is it's only one up, one down in the Camogie. So like no more than we saw last year, Clare got to the final, lost to Antrim, and ultimately didn't get promotion because of it. So I think they'll be eager to do that. But a lot of positives to build on. Okay, not the highest scoring game in the world, but it's day one. You're never going to be flying on day one, but they showed real grit, and to level it in the way they did, it almost feels like a win. You wonder what way does momentum go after a draw. You often find the team that levels a game gets out of it with the point, and particularly when it was on the road. It's a handy road to Abbottstown, but you're not too far off the motorway there, but a big long journey all the same, and it's one away day down and a point on the board from it, which is vital. But it's even more vital now they put more with it again in Clareabbey tomorrow. And I suppose, look, even from a timing perspective, 2:00 in Clareabbey, you'd be out of it by 4. Newbridge is 2 hours up the road. The game's at 6:30, so it's well spread out for people if they do want to make a day of it and support both teams. We hope that they would, but as I say, the points on the board would be massive leaving Clareabbey if they could. Okay, we're almost out of time, but I know there's another few little bits to briefly touch on soccer, and also there's another Clare-Laois clash, this time in Division 3 of the Ladies National Football League. That one on Sunday, Clarecastle Astro. And can I paint that as reason 1409 that integration is a pipe dream till we cop on a small bit? Like, you've Clare and Lynch in the football in Páirc, Chíosóg. You've Clare and Lynch in the ladies football below in Clarecastle. An hour between them. Lynch coming down the road. Football people in the lads, just don't start me, because it's not going to happen until people at the very top cop on a small bit. But yeah, it's a huge one now for Clare, because they are looking over their shoulder, still looking for their first win. They've been conceding heavy. A lot of questions, I suppose, for them to answer. A win would be a massive boost, so we hope that they can do that. And then for the soccer, Bridge United hoping to make it 2 Clare teams in the last 4 of the Munster Junior. They make the short trip in the road to Limerick, to Ashling and Cotty. Newmarket, Celtic are already waiting there, and Bridge go into this game having taken down big Limerick opposition in the previous round in the form of Páirc Rovers, so we all know what they've achieved in junior soccer in this area. So huge game for Cuthbert and the boys, and we wish them all the very best of luck.
Okay, brilliant stuff. You can hear all of that and more on Sideline View this evening, and Derrick will chat to you on Monday. Thank you very much.